of scenery and old houses. Sterling Spencer was alive then and doing his wood carving that was just amazing. Let's see, who else? There were so many artists in this area that had nowhere to show their work. And so we decided to start an art show. And we wanted to do it this time of year when all the leaves are turning. And so that's why we call it the Mountain Color Art Show. Victor and Beverly McCoy and I and Maxine Corbett, she was the secretary of the chamber at that time, and she was my public relations person. She advertised the Mountain Color Art Show all over the United States. She knew Robert Byrd, our senator. She'd known him for years. She could call Washington, D.C. and talk to Robert Byrd. But she would send out the information about the show every year. And then when she resigned from the Chamber of Commerce, then we lost that, so the rest of us had to pick up the advertisement. But there's so many artists in this area that had no place to show their artwork. And so we decided that we would start this show. The first year, we had 10-foot tables. We had 4 rows, the length of this room. We had 300 or 400 people bring artwork. It was crazy. I had to make A-frame easels to sit on top of these tables to show people's work. And it was just amazing that every year it has gotten better. We've never juried this show. We've never said you can't bring something in. But we've had people to display things that might have not been quite as good, but they look around and see what other artists were doing, and that encouraged them to paint better, draw better, to show their artwork out in this venue. We are funded totally by donations. If you look on the back of your program, these people have been very advantageous to us. Dan Ritchie from State Farm, Sharon and Bill Glasscock from Laurel Creek Hardwoods, Kim Garrison Brown, she's the art teacher that took my place when I retired, and now she's retired as well, but she always donates. Lloyd Adkins and Bruce Donaldson, those are a few of the people who donate to this and keep us going. It pays for the awards, it pays for the printing of the posters, and all those things. This year, Joe Pettit, where's Joe? Joe Pettit and Doug Blake and Robert Fagg and myself, we hung the show last week. We spent all day on Saturday hanging the show and getting everything ready. And our judge this year was Linda Elmer. She's a retired art teacher from up around Fairmont area. And so she came down and judged the show for us on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, I was able to put all of the ribbons on for the people who won ribbons. There's so many people here in town that are artists too. Sue Wilcox does beautiful photography. Karma and Kevin Lawrenson, who do their artwork. Jim Odell. All these people. And now we have Susie Spencer that's doing neat artwork as well. The adult artists are on the first half of the wall, and this other end, this is all high school work. Yeah. Most of them are from Nicholas County High School. Pam Cox is the art teacher over there. And her advanced placement artwork students are amazing, as you can see. There's a family from Braxton County that came down and entered their children's artwork as well. But it keeps people working. It keeps students looking and trying to achieve and do better. Rosanna Reynolds, that lives across from us, she's been in Marietta, Georgia, taking care of her mother. And so, excuse me, she told me to go over and get flowers out of her garden, which we did. And so that's where a lot of the flowers came from to decorate the tables. This year's show, it's been amazing at how many people have shown work. And year after year, you see them do better all the time. You see them paint better, draw better. And that's what we all do as artists. And sometimes you paint something that just comes out crappy. You know, and like George O'Keeffe said, I've wasted a lot of canvas in my life. But, you know, you work and you achieve and you go back and you redo it. And this show has been beautiful this year. We've been so happy that this many people has come out with 29 adult students, not to mention the high school students and the middle school students. The awards we have, the first award is the Best of Show. And Connie Mahler over there was the one that took Best of Show. She brought our work down 2 or 3 weeks ago and dropped it off when she was in town.
And where's she from?
She's living up around Morgantown now, she and her husband. Anyway, I lost my train of thought, which is really kind of easy. And then we have Best Local Scene. Anything that has a pink sticker on it is a picture of something in West Virginia. It can be any kind of, any medium. It can be photography, it can be drawing, it can be painting. And this year's, oh, thank you. This year's Best Local Scene is for Joseph Pettit. Come here, Joseph.
Get up there.
Well, this is your prize. Your prize is a $100 check for the Best Local Scene. Because we like to see stuff from West Virginia, since that's where we live. But I've had people come from Virginia and Ohio as well over the years to enter the art show. We are open every evening this week from 5 to 8, and I have people come in and babysit the show, and so they can come and peruse and look at the artwork. The 4 of us hung this show, but we haven't looked at all of it. You know, we looked at the colors and the shapes and everything to put it together to make it a nice display, but there's a lot of things we haven't looked at yet. And all this beautiful work, Doug and I will be here on Friday evening, and that gives us a chance to look at things. So there are mountain color ornaments back on the table where you come in. They're for sale for $10. They have this year's just a minute, we'll come to it. This year's date, 2024 on it, and it says Mountain Color Art Show. And a lady asked me to do that again this year. I did year before last. And so if you want a little memento to take home with you, you're more than welcome to do that. There is a money box at the bottom of the display. The art walk is this coming Saturday up in City Hall, up in Main Street, and we will be closing off Main Street again. This is our 4th year of the art walk. I believe we have, how many vendors, Susan?
22.
22 vendors. There's going to be food and drink and music and things all day long next Saturday. And so come by and spend the afternoon. I think from the weather reports it's going to be a really nice day this coming Saturday. And so we'd love to see you back out again. Bring the kids, there'll be a bunch of neat stuff to look at, and food and all that to enjoy.
Carl,
Yes,
also 2 galleries will be open that day.
yes, the Lawrenson Gallery at the corner, at the red light, and the Bloomfield Gallery, Cecil and David's place. So both those galleries will be open for you to look at and see more artwork.
And mine's gonna be open.
Oh, yeah, oh, yes, and
Oh,
Nancy
sorry,
Pat's
yes.
is gonna be open as well there at the red light. So, there's jewelry and paintings, antiques, stay away. My daughter loves antiques. But come and enjoy this week and this weekend, and just say a prayer that we can do this another year for the 39th Mountain Color Art Show next year. Nancy Leffingwell, who's manning the table back there, she put everything online, so you could get the prospectus for the show and the entry form. You can get it offline and print it off. And so we'll be doing the same thing next year, and that saves me a whole lot of money having to mail to everybody. Now, if there's people who does not have email, then I mail those people's entry forms and prospectus out, so they have that advantage as well. Thank you for coming. I hope we'll be here till 4 o'clock, and so what? Oh, but yeah, I'm working on that. We have our featured artist this year. This is the neatest display I have ever had for featured artists. The featured artist is Beth Keener. Stand up, Beth.
Hello, can I tell them a story?
Yes.
I'm shy. I'm super shy.
I spent yesterday with you.
Well,
You ain't shy.
all be friends and have matching tattoos before we leave. I'm gonna sit and I'm loud. I'm
Okay.
gonna tell you the story. So I'm Beth Keener Flannery, and I'm originally from Marion County. I'm from Mannington, which is outside of Fairmont, which is real similar to here. Amy's been there, and you can't fart without somebody knowing. So you understand that. I've lived all over the place. I've lived all over the country, and 10 years ago, I moved back to West Virginia to marry an iron worker. And so I live in Printytown, out in the woods, and I mean, I live in the woods. And we have bees and a farm and critters and a big pond. And I just last year, Amy was with me, my handbags have been featured in major magazines, and I'm not up here telling you this is why I come to things like this. I come from poor people. I come from coal miners who died from black lung and farmers. My dad was in prison, and I have 3 degrees. I'm dyslexic. I have a master's degree in art history. I've been all over the world. I don't have a lot of money, but I've had a heck of a life, a blessed life, a good life, a fun life. I can't afford my own handbags. So I don't make a lot of money at this, but I believe this is what the good Lord wants me to do. And so I want to be a blessing to people, so I want to tell you a story. So I live in the woods, and we have deer that line our pond, and they stay cool where the trees hang over in the summertime. And so they lay there in that hard mud, you know, to get cool. And sometimes they'll all line up and to get a drink together. And I've even had fawns come up to me, and I pretend like I'm Snow White. And so Amy can tell you, I mean, I'm a critter person, and it's ridiculous, but anyway. So I had my bags in New York last year at a place called Flying Solo, and so they sold on West Broadway and in Soho on Broome Street, which is one of the major fashion streets on the planet. And a lot of the young women who work there are extremely talented. I credit my handbag selling there for the effort that the retail people put into knowing the artists. It's all owned by independent designers like me who know what it's like to have to sell something, to be a part of that hustle and to make a buck. And this is the West Virginia part. So some of those girls were foreign, and they would all text me all the time because we forget how special we are here as West Virginians. And people in larger cities think that they get it, but they don't. And that's okay. I've lived in large cities, and I enjoy both places, although it is good to be back home. The crazier the world gets, the happier I am to be dug into the hill. But a woman came in from Brazil who had money. And on my bio that was in all my cards at that store, it was just a short narrative of who I am and where I come from. And she didn't believe it. She thought it was a mechanism to sell, a narrative to sell work. And so she took the bag over to one of the retail people and said, "This is a bunch of bull, isn't it? This is to sell the bag." And that girl texted me and said, "Beth, can you send me a picture of where you're standing right now?" And there were deer out at the pond, and I went out on my porch and took a picture. I didn't know why, I just thought, she wants to look at a picture of the deer. They're in the middle of Manhattan, and they think it's magical that we live where the deer are sitting. So I sent her a picture, and she said she showed it to that girl told me that when we were up there for my show. And she said, "I showed it to that woman and said, this is the thing, this is where Beth lives, and this is her yard." And she bought 4 handbags, and she said, "Tell her that it's good to be a West Virginian today." And this is a woman from Brazil. So I wanted to tell you all that because we put up with a lot of crap being from here. And I've been all over the place and put up with some of that crap. But there are people with money who think that we're magical, and we are. And so if any of you are here that are young people and you're creative and you think, "I can't do it," you can. Here's the thing I tell young people. It's harder than you think. It's worth it more than you think. But you better love it because it's harder than you think. But I'm glad to be here. Amy's one of my best friends for over 20 years. We met when I worked at Fairmont State. I feel so honored that Carl would have me here, and he helped me put all this together yesterday. And we had a great time doing it. And we didn't drink a lick. We're just nuts. And we had a wonderful time. And so I just wanted to let you all know, everywhere I go, I want to tell that story about that woman spending a lot of money on my handbags just because she thinks it's pretty neato how we live here. So.
Well, and your bags are beautiful.
Thank
too.
you.
She would have bought it anyway.
Well, I don't know, but I appreciate it. So I make other art too, but I like things that do things. I'm all for art's sake and something being pretty, but if you can make something pretty that does something, I am all in all the time. And that comes from people who make things. That handbag up there with the saw handle, that's been on several shows throughout the state. That's called the Legacy Satchel. And that was made in honor of my great-grandpa, who I knew. He didn't die until I was 21, and he died of black lung. And so he made things. He made fiddles and gun stocks, and I have a lot of that stuff by hand. I come from makers. You all probably come from makers. Not because we were creative, because we had to make stuff. That's just to do what you got to do every day. So that saw handle he carved out, and his name is whittled into the back side of it. And then all the wood that you see on the side panels of the bags, my friend Eddie Spaghetti in Morgantown, he and his buddies went and cut some trees down and milled it and gave me the wood to put on the sides of those bags. So that's West Virginia wood. And then that bag on there, you all know what those are. Those are the coal miner tags, where you tag out means you're alive. You made it another day. And so that bag's important to me. I'll never sell it. But I try to make things that tell our story. And I think we have to keep doing that because we're losing it. Technology's great. I have a degree in graphic design, but this is better. This is legacy.
I agree.
Amen, sister. I thank you all for being here. This has been a fun weekend, and I'm tickled to see everybody. I'm friends with Connie Mahler. I actually owe her some work. I was hoping she was here so we could talk about it, but I'm just glad to be here, and I appreciate getting to meet her.